a pretty fun one, actually.
All right.
In your opinion, do we control our own fates? Do we possess some sliver of control in our lives as we enter the real world?
Let's talk about the real world. So, is high school the real world? Sure. So, are there happy times in a high school? Sure. Happy times in the real world. Are there sad times in a high school? Yep. Sad times in the real world? Yep. You got to do things in high school that you don't really like to do, but you got to do them? Yep. Same happen in the real world? Absolutely. So, and I've been guilty of it myself. I say, well, to my students, well, when you get out there in the real world, I think the difference between high school and the real world is in high school, we give you more chances. You have more of an opportunity to explore your interests without, how shall we say, a financial worry. When you get out into the real world, you got to make money. That's how we survive in our society. And so now your choices don't necessarily narrow, but there's something called, I think, practicality is the word I want to use. For example, and no offense against anybody out there that has a philosophy major, because I've taken some philosophy courses. They're a lot of fun. But I mean, I don't know how you make money off a philosophy major. Even for a guy like me, I mean, a history degree. Like, if I were to get laid off, like, what would I do? Do I have any other skills? What am I going to do with that history degree? So I think when you're trying to figure out if you have control, I think you do have control over a lot of things, but there's one thing that will control you, and that is bills, mortgage, car, medical bills. That's just what I call life. And so those realities will push you in a certain direction that you may not want to go, but you have to because you need the money. And my assumption is, in this little interview here, I mean, yeah, you can go be a felon and do it that way, but I don't think that's really what you're asking me. I think you're asking me, what is a person who's a law-abiding citizen, do they have control over their lives? And yeah, they do. You can go to college, you cannot go to college. You can go in the military, you cannot go in the military. Those are concrete choices you have. My son went in the Navy, my daughter decided not to go in the military. So they both had control over their lives. Getting married, having children, there's all kinds of things you do have control over. But sometimes you're forced to do things that you might not want to do, just like in school.
Now, when you went to college and you came out with a history degree, did you think about those things?
When I went to school, I thought I was going to be a business major. Then I took an accounting class, and I didn't have any accounting in high school, and I failed miserably. And I realized I wasn't going to be a business major. So then I decided, I thought, well, maybe I'll be a lawyer. And I took the law school aptitude test. I passed. But I was tired of school. And I had the teaching piece in college, and I think that kind of always was what I really wanted to do. And so I just decided I'm not going to go to law school, and I'm going to go be a teacher. So that's really how it ended up. And of course, everybody pretty much knows I like the sports end of it. So, teaching allowed me to coach, and not coach in a situation where, if you do really bad or something, you're going to get fired from your coaching job. It's just more of a, I can still be close to the sports. So it's been a nice run.
You're not quite at retirement yet, are you?
I'm not at retirement yet, but I'm getting closer. And so when you say choices, we were talking about the choices question, as long as Alden will have me back, I'd like to continue to keep doing what I'm doing. But yeah, at some point, you know, you gotta retire, or maybe you don't have to retire, but I don't know what life would be like in retirement. It's kind of scary. You know, your whole life, you're Mr. K. You're walking into a store, some guy that's 40 years old or 30 years old says, "Hey, coach," you know, and then you retire, and then you just become just.
You don't have as much purpose anymore.
Yeah. So that's a big decision to make, and I think that if you even are hesitant that you shouldn't retire, you should just keep rocking and rolling, and you know. But then again, there's a whole host of other issues. For example, you know, if you happen to be married, like your spouse, well, what if they retire and they want to travel and they want to do things, and you want to keep working, you know? So maybe you decide, well, I really want to keep teaching, but you also have other people in your life. So you know, as I said, yeah, is what it is.
It is what it is. It's my favorite statement from you. All right, this one's a very big one. Can stress be removed from our lives, or is it only mitigated?
I think you're onto something there. I don't think stress will ever go away. But most of our stress is self-imposed, I think. So, for example, when you decide to take on more, then your stress level has to go up. You know, if you are, and this is true for a lot of our kids that are really driven, and they're in sports, and they're in the band, and they're in the different clubs, and their plate is absolutely full, and their time is limited. So when you go back to your question about choice, students have choice, and the more you put on your plate, the more stress you're going to have. It's that simple. Like this year, I'm doing the football. I hadn't done football the last couple of years. I've coached other places. I coached here before, and I decided I want to do it again, and they were nice enough to hire me. But now I have 41 boys that I'm in charge of.
Pressure on you.
It's just more. And if they follow along and do as I ask, then the stress level for me is reduced significantly. And of course, they have a brand new coach, because last year they had Coach Kirk. So the stress on them is huge, because it's a brand new system. So in a 10-day period, they have to learn a brand new system, and then go try to win a football game. It's insane. Okay, so yeah, is it? Am I glad that we're playing? Yeah, absolutely. Are they glad they get a chance to play again? Yep. But is it stressful? Sure. But it's all self-imposed. I chose to coach. They chose to play. Those are choices they all made, and their families made, their parents made, and now you got stress because maybe a kid wants to start and he's not starting. Now he's got stress. If he didn't play, he wouldn't have that stress.
Yeah.
So, and again, it goes back to how do you view, you know, especially a team or a group activity. You know, when you're a wrestler, it's just you on the mat. You know, there's no one to blame, no matter what happens. Bowling, you know.
Solo sport.
Yeah, it is what it, you know. Stress. As you get older, I think you're more able to deal with it, you know. And then it's just different at different points in your life. You know, your stress right now is college. What am I going to do for a career?
Oh, yeah.
You know, all that. I already did all that. You know, then it's like, okay, I raised 2 children, so they're gone. But now I have different stresses with them. You know, I'm a grandpa, and you know, then of course I have my parent. You know, my dad's 81 years old. I lost my mom 3-4 years ago. So, you know, at this age, 55, you got your young kids, and then you have your elderly parents, and then you're stuck right in the middle of both those worlds. And so you see one group, you know, getting the golden years, dealing with that, and then the other folks, you know, just starting out, and they both have stresses. And then you're trying to help both groups.
And you're getting pulled in between.
Yeah, and so, you know, for me, this is supposed to be prime time, you know. I mean, I'm still fairly healthy. I can still move around. I've got a little bit more freedom. But life throws all kinds of curveballs. It's just incredible, you know, and you just have to you gotta, I think in the end for stress, and I'll leave it at this, try, and this is hard to do, but try to understand that you can only control yourself. And as much as you want other people to think a certain way, to feel a certain way, to do things a certain way, you know, you can try to influence them the best you can, but in the end, they have to make those choices.
That's some truth right there.
I think it. I mean, this is just my observation. I mean, it's just my observation. You know, you tell kids don't be late to school.
Can't control that.
Don't be late to practice. Turn in your homework. You know, please.
Make both the lives easier, both the students.
Yeah,
and the teacher.
absolutely. Yeah, because if everything's in on time, then there's no penalty, there's no zeros, there's no lates, there's no, you know, you don't need to call home because the kid didn't turn it in. You know, so the parent doesn't get the phone call from the school. They're happy. You know, everybody's happy. Just do your stuff, everybody's happy. You know, you don't have to do all that. But that's not reality.
All right. Next one.
Okay.
I am not one to do more than I need unless it's something I am passionate about, which I'm sure we can all relate to.
Mm-hmm.
But does that make someone an unskilled individual? And will they not be seen as useful if they didn't go above and beyond regarding their workload? A lot of people don't have a desire to do more than they're asked. And does that mean they're throwing away their opportunities in the real world? If we can go back to that.
I think some people are natural leaders. It's just in them. And I think other folks are just kind of don't want to have to deal with those decisions. They'd rather be told what to do. That way they don't have to do the planning piece. I do too many sports analogies, but this is a good one, and I'm sure it would be the same if you were the assistant director of the play versus the musical versus the actual director. Okay, so I've been an assistant coach. I've been a head coach. It's way easier to be an assistant because you kind of follow along what the head guy wants. You give you your input. You can work with the kids in a little bit different way because you're not the guy. The head coach has to make some tough decisions, like 4th and short. Are we going? Are we punting? Okay, so the head coach makes that decision. The assistant coach gives the input, but if it goes wrong, the assistant coach doesn't get the wrath.
It's not on him.
Right. That's why the head coach makes more money.
Yeah.
Okay, so but being the assistant, you have less control. So if you think a team should be doing something and the head coach won't do it, now you're frustrated. So as the assistant, to be stress-free, if there's such a thing, okay, you give your input. You're a salesman, you try to make the head guy buy into it, Okay? And then if the head guy decides, no, I'm not going to do that, you have to be able to live with that. That's your role as an assistant. It's like the cabinet and the president of the United States. They give the input, but in the end, the president has to decide certain things. And that's why that job's insane. That job's insane. And there's a lot of things that happen that the president has no idea about that affects him or her directly. So, there's a scandal in some department, and, well, who's that going to come back on? The president. Well, did the president really have anything to do with this scandal thing over here? Did he even know about it? I mean, there's thousands and thousands of people that are employed by the government, and you expect the president to deal with all of it? It's impossible. It's impossible. So, being in a leadership position is difficult. Clear, concise communication and a listening ear, taking input is huge. Okay, it's huge. You have to be able to take input from others. You have to be able, as a leader, to listen. You have to weigh certain things. But in the end, you have to act. And in some situations, you don't have time to have a meeting. You got 30 seconds to make the next call. So, yeah, it's a tough one. It's my best shot at it. I don't know if I got the whole answer on that one or not. Could you restate the question again?
Well, does someone not doing more than they're asked make them unskilled?
I don't think so. I don't think it makes them unskilled. If they're happy, there are a lot of people that, the coaching thing is a hobby for me. I would do it probably for no pay. Don't tell anybody that. But if the standard work day is 8 hours. If you're working 16 hours, what's happening to your relationships with other human beings? Okay, so goes back to choice. If you're going to work 16 hours and go above and beyond the call of duty, you're going to pay a price somewhere. Okay, so if you work your 8 hours and then you got your time for your family, if family's extremely important to you, then maybe you don't want to be the big CEO. Maybe you don't want to be the head coach. Maybe you don't want to be the superintendent who has to come back to all the board meetings and do all the night activities, because your priority, and I'm not saying that, if you're a superintendent or a principal, you can't be family oriented. I'm not saying that, but there's definitely a strain. Because your time, it's all about the time, that where you're spending your time. But I don't know about the word unskilled. Some people just want to be, I often thought what it would be like to be like an auto factory worker. There are days in this job that I think, well, maybe I should have been an auto factory worker. And I have the utmost respect for blue collar workers. I work construction. I've done roofing. I mean, I get it. But it would be nice. You clock in, you do your 8 hours, you do whatever you do at the plant, you do it every day, and that's what you do, and then you go home and you don't have to worry about anything. If you're a doctor, you're on call. If you're a lawyer, you're probably working 12, 14, 16 hours. You're always thinking about the next case. Or while you're trying to have dinner, you got a scratch pad because you're still working for the defense of your client. Okay? If you're a concrete worker, you go, you do your concrete work, you go home. Now, does that mean that they don't plan for other things? Well, yeah, they got to plan for the next job, and maybe they're doing some paperwork, but it just comes down to the choice. Yeah. It just does. And if it makes you happy, to work 8 hours and that's all you want to work and that's it, then go for it. Because, it's a free country. But if you want to work 16 hours
Good for you.
and you're happy, then go for it. It's like guys that go on vacation and they bring their phone with them and they're working while they're on vacation from their laptop or their phone. If that makes them happy, go for it. I hate that. Personally, it's like when I play golf, I see guys, they're on the phone. I saw this one guy, he's on the putting green. He's got the phone, he's talking, and he's putting with one arm. And he's talking on the phone. I don't even bring my phone onto the course. I tell my wife or people I love where I'm going. I'm going to Batavia Country Club. If there's a problem, call there. They know I'm out there somewhere. Some dude will come out in a cart and get me. I don't want to talk to anybody for 4 hours. I want peace and quiet and silence. I don't want 100 emails that I have to respond to. It's my time.
Stemming off that, how do you define a successful life?
Not going to jail. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you define it. I think it's different for every person. I just hope that people have a goal, and I don't care who they are, how old they are. I know I learned so much from my parents. They're always moving. They're always going forward. They always had things to do. They were always very active. My dad is 81. He golfs 3 times a week. The guy's in way better shape than I am. He takes great care of himself. And he's social. Than other people, they want to be more reclusive. My grandfather, I think he might have traveled to Warsaw, New York from Batavia. I think that is maybe as far as he ever got anywhere. I mean, the guy basically was, born and died within a 50-mile radius. So I've seen all gamuts, but a successful life is trying to not have regrets. You're going to have regrets. We all have regrets. We all make decisions sometimes that don't work out or that we wish we would have done differently, but can't help what happened yesterday. You just can't. Our society is littered with, this issue and that issue, and this kid's got this, and that adult has that, and, we're all struggling together. But I can't control what happened yesterday at all. And, you just try to keep moving.
Push forward.
Fall forward. Denzel Washington, one of my favorite quotes. Denzel Washington, I really enjoy listening to him. And, his whole thing is his whole phrase is fall forward, fall forward. I grew up in a time when the Rocky movies were big. And, that was the underdog story. Here's this great task in front of this fighter, and how's he going to accomplish it? How's he going to be successful? And whether he won or lost, the idea was, did he give it his all? That's what it always comes back to. Maximum effort. Maximum effort. And, just keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. And is it frustrating? You betcha. But I was taught never quit. It's just, I have quit certain things in my life, and I have regret. But generally speaking, when the going gets tough, you just keep moving. You just gotta go. And I think if you do that, and you set a goal, accomplish it. Set a goal, accomplish it. Set a goal, accomplish it. That creates confidence. You're not gonna reach every goal. I've still been trying to win a state championship in something. Got close once in 33 years with the softball team, but I think it's fun just to try.
Yeah, it comes back to giving you purpose.
Yeah, and you know, I wish my son was closer to me. He's recently he's going to be deployed to Hawaii with my grandson, and you know that's quite a ways for me. So will I get to Hawaii? I hope so. But is that more stress on the family? Sure, but he's in the Navy, and I can't control that. And they ordered him to go there, and that's part of the gig when you join the military. And so I have, as his father, I have to accept that. And if I accept it and just try to roll with it, then hopefully my stress levels go down. But I can't control what the Navy's going to do with him. I can't. So it's counterproductive to stew about it.
Yeah. I like that.
We're good?
Oh, we got a few more.
Couple more? Okay, we're good. I rambled too much.
It's all right. I like hearing your views on this. That's the whole point of this. Yeah. Many global occurrences remind us that our time on Earth is finite. What steps do you take to remove yourself from the uncertainty of our futures?
I think the average person, especially a guy like me who's average, I think you just get caught up in what you do with your life. And if you don't watch the news, I have to be honest with you, this past summer, I really was turned off by the political disaster, whatever you want to call it, especially the first debate. That was not a debate. That was bad. And just turned me off. And I mean, I'm a social studies teacher. Like, I'm supposed to watch the news, you know, I'm supposed to keep with it. And that whole thing was just a mess. And the world is a very big place. I've been fortunate enough to travel a few spots. I've gone down to Florida. As a kid, I was fortunate enough that my parents took me out to California. I happened to go to Jamaica on my honeymoon, was able to get to Aruba. You know, I'm not a world traveler by any stretch of the imagination, but, you know, you get out there and you realize that, you know, you're one of, what is it now, 8 billion? Okay, so you're one. So how do you insulate yourself from the world? You can't. You can't insulate yourself from the world. I remember in high school the Soviets were going to nuke us. So we did all the duck and cover stuff, you know. One year they had us under the desk, another year they had us out in the hall, all crouched up and stuff. And I think, you know, when you do those kind of drills, it gives you a sense of control. And I think human beings, we really dislike chaos. We dislike uncertainty. We want control. And it's hard to understand that there are things we cannot control. And I can't help what some foreign country's going to do or what some lone wolf is going to do. You be alert. You stay in situations that you think are fairly safe. And you hope that the people at whatever event you're at are good people. But I am not going to live my life fearing what could happen. I'm not going to go down that path, because what you said was we're only here for a short time. So if we're only here for a short time, then why would I want to just hunker down and That's no life to me. I want to do things. I want to go down to the Buffalo waterfront and hop in one of those little kayak thingies and do the thing. I want to go to a golf course. I want to go to a concert. I've been to the Buffalo Philharmonic. I enjoy going to those things. I want to go watch a college football game. And, wow, this could happen and that could happen and the other thing could happen. Yep, they could. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to live that way. And if something happens and I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, well, I can't control that. So, but for me personally, I can't let it get to me, because if you watch the news every day, it's all negative.
Yeah.
Every day. There's the good hope stories they tuck away at the end in the last 30 seconds. This guy got shot, that guy got shot. The terrorist did this, the terrorist did that. This political party did this, and that political party did that, and this scandal over here, and that cop did this, and now we got a riot over here, and most people are good people. I don't know what percentage of people in this country are incarcerated. I don't have that off the top of my head, but it's not the majority, that's for sure. And I think most people I run into, deal with, are great people. And I can't worry about what's going on in Australia. I don't live there. I can't affect change there. Maybe I can somehow on the computer, but I'm not. It's like your own community. What do you want your community to be? You want it to be, a place that you could take pride in? Well, then volunteer, like here in Alden, nice little community. People, they take care of it. It's not, everything, they keep the lawns looking nice, the houses are looking nice, you got people that care, you have all different kinds of groups. You got a small town feel with the stores, the local mom and pop shops are awesome. I like that. Some people, it's boring. It's just too dull. I like boring. Boring means it's fairly safe.
That's true.
So I've been to big cities. I couldn't live there. And I guess if you interviewed me and I grew up in New York City, and we were doing this interview, and you said, well, would you move to, some little suburb somewhere? I'd be like, no way, man. City life's where it's at. And I'd be talking all the great stuff about the city. So I think it's part of chance where you're born. Just being born in the U.S. What are the odds of that? So, I think our country's still pretty great. We got a lot of people want to come here. And they keep coming. Hundreds of thousands of them every day. And that says something about our country. If we were as bad as the news media makes us out to be someday, then why would anybody come here? But they keep coming. So we must be doing something right.
I would hope. All right, this one's a personal one. It said, I find myself being an ignorant and stubborn individual, even in crucial moments of self-growth and education. Have you found yourself in a similar situation? And how would you go about shifting from ignorance to acceptance?
So, do you mean ignorance in terms of...
Like, I don't think you're right.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
I think I'm right.
Okay, so we're having a debate.
Yeah.
Okay, so debate is what debate is the heart and soul of democracy. This is it. If you don't have the ability to debate, it's over. You have no democracy. End of story. You have whatever other form it is. Okay, so I'm assuming Mrs. Williams would be okay with this, but Mrs. Williams and I are pretty much on the opposite ends on many issues. However, we are, I would say, very close in terms of our friendship. We socialize together outside of school. Her husband, my wife, we go out and do things. We have dinner, we go to concert, pre-COVID, we do things together. But we definitely disagree on certain things. But that doesn't stop us from being friends. We just understand that on this issue or that issue or the other issue that we have a difference of opinion. And then the vote, the political level, we have our debate, then we go vote, and then the majority rules. That's how it's supposed to work. And if people, I think for me, growing up in Batavia, it was a fairly sheltered community. When I went to college, there were 40 different foreign countries, kids from 40 different foreign countries on my campus. So you learn about diversity. You learn about all different types of people, all different ranges. And you can talk to people from Pakistan. You can talk to people from England. You can talk to people from, China, which I had. It was awesome. It was great. Okay, and you can learn. They can learn from us. We can learn from them. But it's the idea that we can be civil to each other, and civility is lacking in big time in this country. There's on both sides of the political aisle, there are extreme views that people just will not budge, and they won't accommodate, they won't compromise, there's no mediation, and in the end, it just leads to frustration, and in extreme situations, violence, and that's not us. We shouldn't be that way. I don't really understand why we can't debate. I mean, when I went to college, that's all we did. And the professors would moderate and, but kids in the same class, we all had different opinions and nobody got academically penalized because of your view. If you were a conservative, so you're a conservative, so what? If you're a liberal, who cares, all right? But you're a human being first. And, you should be able, it's just like with the coaching thing, you got different coaches. Kevin Shadle, Bill McCown's working with me. We all sit together, we give our input, and we go. But we're different. It's just the way it is. We all can't be the same. So you gotta have debate. Debate has to be civil. You can't be using nicknames on. It just bothers me. You can't. And you just can't. And when we're not able to talk to each other, it's not going to work.
It's the acceptance that we need more acceptance in society.
I think for me, do I agree with everybody on every topic? Absolutely not. But we're supposed to be a free country. And if someone wants to do something because that's what they want to do, and they're not really hurting anybody else, absolutely. I mean, I'm not, every summer for the last probably 20 years, I did sell my house, but when I was living out in Attica, every summer, I don't know if it was the Jehovah's Witness or the Mormon, I can't remember which religious group, but the same guys every year come to my house. They go to everybody's house. They knock on the door and they want to talk to me. And I go out and I talk to them. And, they're doing their thing and I'm doing my thing and they're not hurting me. They're not bothering me. Some people that might bother them, somebody came up, not that to make them bother me. We talk, we have a nice chat, and every year I say no thank you. And they smile and they go on. Okay? But it didn't hurt nobody. 10 minutes of my time. then be patient, tolerant. So, you know, as long as we're able to do what we want to do within reason, you know, you can't, you know, I mean, it's common sense. Other countries, other systems, you don't have those freedoms. You have to do what government tells you to do, and if you study history, everybody knows.
Doesn't work out too well. People don't like it.
Well, I mean, if you want to live under a Hitler-style thing, go for it. If you want to live under a Stalin-type thing, go have at it. You want to live under a Venezuelan situation, you can do that too. You go back to ancient times, you had your emperors, and you know, in Iran, you've got your rule by religion, theocracy. You know, you commit adultery over there, you're going to be put to death. That's how they do it. That's their deal. So there's different forms of government, and ours isn't perfect, but
I like to think that it offers a bit more freedoms than most.
just I don't know what to say. It's to me it's a no-brainer, but
I just think that's another thing where, you know, everyone's got their different views, and some people think, okay, well, America.
well, the other thing is this. I've been fortunate. The system here worked for me. They
Yeah.
told me to go to college, and that would be good for me. I did. Then they said if I got a degree, it would help me get a job. It happened. I interviewed for jobs. People trusted me. God forbid why. But they hired me. They hired me. I mean, what if I went to college, got the degree, went in for every interview for a teaching job, and every time I was told no. Every time. I put all that money in, I did all the time in, I trusted everybody told me this is what you do, this is gonna work, and then it didn't. This interview could be totally different. I might be saying that the American system is absolutely disgusting. That you go, you do all this stuff, and then you don't get the reward. You know, and then maybe a different system where the standard of living may not be as high, but everybody has a good basic life. Maybe that becomes more appealing because you can't, you know, the system hasn't helped you. You know, so, you know, I can see it from both ways.
Absolutely.
So, you know, hiring people, that's an interesting, you know, that's what, you know, work is what people do. I mean, that's how they live. That's how they survive. And that's why I hate machines. I hate the robots. I hate all that crap. I want people to have a job. I want people to be able to work. You know, so yeah, could you get a machine to put the tire on the car? Yeah. Should we? You know, let someone work. Let them earn some money. So then they can, you know, support their families. I mean, why? I saw a clip that McDonald's Corporation had like a 24 burger machine flipper.
Wow.
Like you could take I probably exaggerate, but like 12 burgers at once and it flips them. It's like a robot. It slides in there and lifts them all up. Let someone work there. Forget the machine. But, and it comes down to greed and profit. Okay? Machines don't get sick. Yeah, they break, but they don't get sick. They work 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They don't get double time for a holiday. They don't get time and a half for overtime. They don't have the Family Leave Act. There's all kinds of stuff in a machine. That's why it's appealing. It's appealing to the people who own the business to put the machine in. Okay, but when I go to a restaurant, I'm just so old. I don't want that electronic thing there, where I got to push the buttons and I can pre-order, and so a lot of people love that. You know, they love it. And I see in the restaurants, and they play games on them and stuff. I want to talk to the people I'm with, and when the waiter or the waitress comes over, I want to have a human interaction. I want give them a tip.
It's part of the thrill of being in a
So,
restaurant.
right, so do I tip the waiter or the waitress, or do we eliminate them and I press the stupid button? I'm tired of the buttons. I mean, I grew up in a totally different era. I grew up in an era, there was no cell phone, it was just starting. There was no internet, it was just starting. I was around for the invention of the computer, like the personal computer. Like we didn't have any of that. The phone was on the wall. Nobody looked at their phone all day long. If something happened and there was an emergency and I was a student in school, then they would call and say, all right, get Lance out of social studies, he's got to go, here's grandma this or whatever. Now it's all, you're sitting in class and it hits you right now. Okay? I don't know if that's healthy.
Yeah, I can agree with
I'm
that.
like, why not just enjoy your classmates, enjoy the teacher, try to enjoy what's going on in the room, and just forget about the world for a while. Just like leave it out there. There was a couple, we were down at Cayea Lake over the summer. We're sitting in a restaurant, and this, I'd say mid-20s, they walk in and they sit down, and I don't think they spoke for probably 15 minutes, 20 minutes. They were just, but it's a free country. Let's go back to that. It's a free country. And if that makes them happy, I'll go for it. I don't find any happiness in that. It's probably because I'm old.
Well,
It's just different time. It's just different way. So I wish people would talk to each other more. I can't stand silence in my classroom. I hate it.
makes things really awkward.
Yeah, it does.
Makes it difficult. Alrighty. When you completed high school, how did you know what your purpose in life was? And we touched on this a little bit, but did you have an aha moment, or was it gradual?
I think my aha moment was when I failed accounting. I think there are some people who know exactly what they want to do. I mean, exact. Like there are kids that I'm going to be a physician's assistant. And like I could just tell by the way they say it, they're in. They're going to do it. I could just tell. I wasn't one of those people. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I had the three things in my mind were lawyer, business guy, or teacher. I ended up being a teacher. The aha moment, I think, was probably I just decided I enjoyed history. I loved the coaching. My dad was a coach. He was a fireman. My mom was a cafeteria worker. And I just was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do the teaching gig. And there was a point in my career where I was working over at Batavia High School, and they thought maybe I might make a good principal. So they said, well, why don't you be an assistant dean of students for a couple years, see if you like it. I didn't like it. It was too negative. Every day it was just negative. So I went back in the classroom where I could have, in my opinion, fun. So those are a couple aha moments. And I remember when I went back to the classroom, my dad, he really wanted me to be a principal. He was the deputy chief at the Batavia Fire Department, so leadership. I said, Dad, I want to do that. Well, I think you'd be. I said, but Dad, I don't want to do that. Yeah, but no buts. I'm not doing it. And yeah, I'm happy.
You look back at where you were in life and you say, yeah, I'm proud of that.
Yeah, I mean, the what if game. Okay, so what if I became a principal? Well, Are you kidding me? Principal today dealing with COVID?
That's a ton of pressure.
Superintendent, school board dealing with COVID? No way. Who has that headache? Okay, just this is a time when I want to just be the follower. Tell me what to do. Okay? I don't want to make those decisions. You know, and I'm sure there's no president. I don't think there's been a. Maybe I'm just naive. I don't think. You know, you hear the conspiracy theories about the Trade Center, and George Bush ordered the planes into the. You hear all that. I'm like, I don't believe that. I can't bring myself to think that a human being would want to kill 3,000 people to justify some war for the money. I just can't. It's like we were talking the other day in class. Did Herbert Hoover really want the stock market to crash and cause the Great Depression? I mean, was that on the top of his list when he became president? It's like the principals. They went into it thinking, okay, I'm going to do this and this and this and this, and then all this other stuff happens,
which we can't control.
Right? There's the Columbine stuff, and so now the principals have to deal with a whole other set of issues that the principals before them never dealt with, ever. I mean, I never had a math bleed kit in 1988 on the back of my door, teaching at Attica High School. We didn't have lockdown drill. We didn't have those things. But society changes. You have to adapt. But being a first responder or a principal or trying to ensure the safety of every student in the school has got to be stressful. Got to be stressful. And I didn't want that. And that's why I didn't become a principal. Every day can't be a perfect day for a principal or a superintendent or a teacher or even a student. But, I think as long as you're going in the right direction, But yeah, aha moment, yeah, you have multiple ones, I think, through your career.
Can't pin it on just one.
I don't think so. I think, like you said, choice. I had an opportunity to go be a principal. Made a choice not to. Might that be a regret? Maybe. I don't think so, but good or bad, sure. Maybe I should have proposed to the other girl. Maybe I shouldn't have had kids. Maybe I shouldn't have lived out in the sticks. I mean, the life is full of what ifs, should I have, what could I have done. Can't live there. Can't live there. You just can't. I can't. I don't want to. I mean, you're going to think about it, but you can't let it dominate you.